What's better than Christmas? Well, a lot of things, but in particular, waking up to a new Lex Legion single. That and more next.
It's very easy to kind of feel hopeless that, oh man, music is all terrible. It's just these things are going downhill. But we listen to bands like Show and Tell. Listen to bands like, I don't know what that is. There it is. All right.
Was that, yeah? So the Microsoft update was trying to thwart.
Curse them.
Yeah.
Bill Gates. Not today, Bill Gates.
Yeah, sure. Not today, Bill Gates.
Oh, hang on. Like, that's so funny. But anyway, it's very easy to like feel down in the dumps about like how bad music is. Then we come across a band like you just like showed Show and Tell. This, like,
yes, which is great, and that's a smart name for the band.
Love metal, dude. That's like, and their video looks like it's from like 1992 or something like that. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's great, man. Like
so
the whole rotoscoping. Yeah, so the band's called Show and Tell.
Yeah,
and then the single's called Haunted by the Night,
which they literally are haunted by the night. But it's just good old just metal, dude.
Yeah,
so
dude, he does battle with a demon like with his flying V.
Yeah, he battles a demon with the power of shred guitar, which is the way that the priests have demanded that. That's how it works.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Well, like, you know, he's like lying in bed, and then like the demon shows up, and I could totally relate to that, right? Because like I usually can't get to sleep until
so relatable, right? I mean,
until my demon arrives. You know what I mean? Because I just feel like, you know, the bed's empty, right?
Yeah, you don't have that existential dread that you kind of require to fall asleep. You know? What I mean?
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly right. You know, so I can totally relate to that. I'm glad they wrote a song about it.
Yeah, well, I'm glad. Thank you for introducing me to that band. That band's killer. And then also last week we talked about our last podcast
episode.
We talked about Heat, which is another just killer like traditional heavy metal band. And speaking of amazing heavy metal, we woke up this morning to the amazing, incredible new drop from the greatest band that we just discovered recently, which is
Lex Legion.
Yeah, their new song Gypsy Tears just dropped down. So
dude, they're getting me so fired up, man. We want to finish Ex Aegis too.
Working.
That would be the perfect bill. Lex Legion and Ex Aegis on the same bill.
At least phonetically, it's right on the money.
Phonetically, you know, it's meant to be.
I think that really all the promoters out there need to realize that this has got to happen. So I think that people as a groundswell, I can feel the groundswell happening.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? For Lex Legion and Ex Aegis.
We could write like some like companion. So the new single from Lex Legion is called Gypsy Tears.
Yes.
So I'll this afternoon I'll start getting to work on Gypsy Farts.
How about Gypsy Road Tears?
Ooh,
that'd be good, right?
Gypsy Road Tears?
Yeah. Or Cry of the Gypsy Road Tears.
Oh, yeah,
right. Come on, it'd be perfect.
Absolutely. You know,
look for the new single from Ex Aegis, Cry of the Gypsy Road Tears.
The dude in Show and Tell would dig it. He was prominently wearing a Dokken shirt.
Hell yeah, dude, because Dokken rocks, dude. Rockin' with Dokken, of course.
Yes, they rocked.
Yes. Well, I mean, dude, even the stuff that he's doing with the newer stuff is still pretty damn good. I mean, I think it's, you know, that's because he has great guitar players who play with him always.
Yeah, that's a good way to make sure your band doesn't suck.
Yeah. Have killer guitar players.
Have killer guitar players.
Well, it did work for like 50 years, and then
right.
and then it went away. You know, it's like, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, about 40 years, but yeah.
Yeah, mid 60s till like the early 90s.
So if you're like the 50s, 60s,
about 30,
70s,
about 30
80s.
years, about 30 years. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give it 30. But anyway, those kind of, you know, our band and bands like Lex Legion and Heat and, you know, Show and Tell, bands like that, like Hard Boy. Yeah, bands like that, they give me hope that there's still killer music out there. You know what I mean?
Dude, I found this YouTube channel called the like NWOTHM, and it stands for New Wave of Traditional Heavy Metal.
Yeah.
And there's another one I listened to the other day, just like casually, and I'll have to go back and figure out which band that was. But man, it's just getting me fired up about music.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, man. If there's Americana festivals, we should have New Wave of Traditional Heavy Metal festivals. That's what I'm telling you. That's what, you know. That's if that kind of stuff can happen. You know.
I wonder who would be like the Willie Nelson of traditional heavy metal.
Well,
right?
maybe it'd be King Diamond, man. Yeah, maybe it would. You know.
Wait, is Willie Nelson known for not releasing albums very frequently?
Yeah, that's his thing.
Really?
Yeah, that and being high all the time. Those are the two things.
Stoned. Yeah, I don't think King Diamond is stoned. I think he just ruined his life by having a stupid kid.
But yeah. Speaking of which, we've seen some interviews with Andy recently. You know, because they're promoting the new Lex Legion thing, and they're talking about like, you know, oh my God, well, I gave him. He said something like I gave King 8 songs or something. And
it was a wild number. It was enough to where they could have really like finished the album in the last decade.
But apparently, he's waiting for King to write his other songs, or whatever. And so, and I was like, okay, well, but why not use the other 5 songs that you sent him? Because I'm sure they kicked ass. You know what I mean? I don't know. Who knows? There's definitely sense. Like I got the sense that like Lex Legion is just like, okay, I got to do something. I can't.
I have to move on with my life.
Yeah, I can't just sit here and just wait, and maybe he'll write the songs, maybe he won't, kind of thing. You know?
Yeah, and they said, there was, I guess. Well, so back in 2008 is when I guess Pete Black reached out to Mickey D or something like that. So
2008?
Yeah, 2008.
Dude, that's almost 20 years ago.
Right. And then and then during the pandemic, like they kind of resurrected the idea, right? I just
how perfect for King Diamond, the resurrection.
Man, and look,
there's some kind of dark rights, I imagine, right?
You know, and I really dig all the guys in King Diamond's current band.
Yeah.
You know,
Mike Weed, right?
Yeah, his drummer Matt Thompson's a killer drummer.
Of course,
Mike Weed, Pontius, Ed Berg, right? He's got the perfect name for a Nordic bass player, right?
Big badass bass tone and stuff. I mean,
and I can't remember exactly. Hal Patino was back in King Diamond's band for a little while. I think some of the rub is with King Diamond and Hal Patino, because I guess, you know, Hal Patino and Pete Black kind of partied their way out of the band, it sounds like. I just don't know that for sure. But I mean, they themselves,
that's the rumor, basically, is that?
Yeah, they themselves, and Hal Patino doesn't seem to have aged very well.
Well, I mean.
But who knows how old he really is? I have no idea.
Could be he's probably mid-60s, I guess.
Right.
Yeah, something like that. I think Andy's like 61, you know, something like that, you know. So.
Yeah, so Pete and Hal posted a meme where, like, on one side there they are, like, backstage after probably like a 1988 or 89 King Diamond show, right? And it's so, like, back then it was, you know, like Jack Daniels or whatever, and then then it cuts to them today with like coffee mugs. They're like, now it's coffee mugs, you know. So like they acknowledge, I think they were hard partiers.
Yeah. And then King Diamond was never known as being a partier kind of band, just, you know, that kind of.
Yeah, well, I mean, just like a band like Kiss, if he had been a hard partier, King Diamond wouldn't have happened. You know, you have to take it seriously and be a pro, right?
Yeah.
So
which is one reason why they've been so successful,
right?
You know, I mean, that stuff he's doing is not like mainstream friendly stuff. You know, it's like this is mom pop Saturday afternoon kind of stuff. You know what I mean? It's very sideways. So you have to be excellent and take it seriously to make that work, and they did. You know?
So all that having been said, I mean, man, if someone was reaching out to someone in like 2008, and okay, Mickey D still would have been in Motorhead at that time.
Yeah,
but
this is even pre-Scorpions for Mickey D.
There's just part of me that, man, King, why didn't you just get this band back together? And I mean, think about the albums we could have right now.
We're still getting that band essentially with an amazing new singer. This guy,
right? But we had to wait until 2026.
Well, I think they kind of got to the point where like, okay, is this actually going to happen? Like, you know, how many tours? They've already played like 3 of these songs live, and there's not even a recording of them.
The King Diamond songs.
Yeah. So it's I don't know. I can see the frustration. I think we talked about this before, but like one of the things that's really undersold about being in a band or playing with other people is keeping a band together, like having everyone be on the same page.
It's tough,
everyone
man.
moving towards the same goal, having the same timelines. Everyone's interested in the same thing financially.
Yep.
It's so difficult. Like when you're young, like if you're like 18 and your friends, and you know everyone's so hungry and everyone wants it, then that's, you know, you're cool not making any money, living in a van and just driving around because it's
down by the river.
I'm in my band, dude. We're freaking touring. This is great. You know.
Yeah, the camaraderie of we're going to conquer the world.
Yeah, and you're 18, you got nothing to lose, right? You haven't done anything. You're just basically, this is your first foray into the world.
Well, and first you have to like find that group of people. That's why Skip's Music Stairway to Stardom program,
Spotlight too, right?
And Spotlight series is so important for the young people to participate in, right? Registration deadline for Stairway is June 1st, so make sure you get registered.
Especially when you're listening to this in like, let's say December of 2028.
That's right. Well, if it's December of like 2028, then you know you've got like 6 months.
Exactly, because it's coming again.
Yeah, it's coming again.
So around the corner. This is evergreen. No,
but yeah, so first it's seriously it's hard to meet those people, right?
Yeah, how many people did you know in high school who were as serious you were about music? I mean,
as serious? Not as many. I mean, and all the guys at the guitar shop, like most of them, right, except for you, were a lot older, right? At least a decade older and already doing
those
stuff.
Guys were out playing clubs and stuff like that at that point and stuff. But that's different.
That's right.
That's like not high school friends. Like in high school, I didn't have any friends.
I had one from my buddy John. So he and I used to get together and play, and there was a couple other kids that would like filter in and out.
But because they kind of they're interested in the music, filters in and out. That's probably what it is. You know what I mean? That's so heartbreaking because when you're so passionate. Like you're just like, man, this is the most important thing I'm doing in my life right now. And then I'd be like, well, I kind of want to go hang with my girlfriend on that Friday, whatever.
Well, plus when you're a kid, it's hard to stay focused and organized, right?
Yeah,
like
true.
in all the bands of young people I've coached over the years, like almost all of them want to spend the first rehearsal figuring out what to name the band. Which is not at all the first thing you should be doing.
Make sure your music's in order first, people. And
it's important for a band to have some songs.
Yes, exactly. That does seem important.
That helps.
Yeah, but I mean, it's difficult. Even if everyone's on the same page at some point, as you go along the field long enough, you're going to find that you diverge in some ways. Like not only what you're looking for in terms of lifestyle and income, but also even stylistically in music that can drift a little bit. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, this is why our partnership is so rare and important to me. You know?
Oh, you're so kind.
Right?
Thank you so much.
Because first of all, we're both super fucking awesome.
That's
and humble.
Yeah, exactly.
We have the same. Yeah, we have the same lifestyle goals. We just flew out to Japan and then
battle with Godzilla.
Right. I did battle with Godzilla in a match. Anyway,
went so well. No.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, the music that I don't know. It's funny. I had this conversation with a student yesterday, and they were talking about how much they wish they were around in the 80s. God, I wish I had been in the 80s. And I think...
And you were like, yes, you do.
I did. It was much better. I'm sorry. Like those Stranger Things kids, that was me. I was exactly the age that they
That's
are.
What it was like. Oh, man. What was... So I was listening... So Bill Maher was doing his most recent podcast. He's interviewing a woman named Dr. Deborah So. She's like a neurological, she basically like how brain works with.
She's a neuroscientist.
Sex. She's a neuroscientist, but like sexuality based neuroscientist.
That's a very specific specialized.
I guess like her main paper that garnered a lot of attention.
Did it Jennifer garner attention?
It was about people who like sexualize like inanimate objects or something like that, and then like the neuroscience behind that. It's like really heady stuff.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. That sounds like Bill Maher would be like all about that. My God.
So they were talking about the effects of like internet porn and everything, and he was like, dude, when I was growing up, one of us would like steal a Playboy from our dad, and then we would ride our bikes off into like a field or a creek, and then we'd like. And then we'd like bury it in the ground like badgers. And I thought to myself, shit, yeah, riding my bike to the creek, right? There's like tree houses everywhere, and there's like some Playboys stashed in that. Like that's what growing up was like.
Sure, okay.
Yeah, you didn't do that?
I didn't do that, no.
You didn't ride your bike out to the creek, and then there was like a tree house.
I climbed trees, I rode bikes.
And then like there's invariably, I swear, somewhere, if they could probably find one in like, I guarantee you in Citrus Heights and Cripple Creek, there's probably at least like one Playboy like buried in a plastic bag.
That's
or something.
Like some kind of time capsule for the future.
Yeah, it's like a horny time capsule of being an 80s.
When I was that age, I definitely was either riding motorcycles. I was doing sports. I was doing baseball or football and martial arts at the same time and guitar at the same time. So it was like, and going to school full time. So I was like scheduled, man.
Yeah, the itinerary.
I didn't have a whole lot of like hanging out and stuff. I mean, I put so much time in the guitar. Once I fell in love with the guitar, I was like, that's all I did.
I'll never forget when in like in seventh grade, me and there was this kid named Bob that lived around the corner from my house. We actually bought oregano from the high school kids at the creek, and I remember us smoking it and being like, "Dude, do you feel any different?" And I was like, "No, dude. I think this. I don't think this is pot." I'll never forget that.
This is what great stories from our childhoods. That's so amazing.
Absolutely. But and I was like, well, at least we have some Playboys out here. Bob, go dig up that Playboy.
Exactly. And I will space away from each other. Yeah. That's also weird. But
good times.
No, so what did they say about the inanimate object? I'm just curious.
Well, no, so before I mean, I don't have anything else to add on that. So I was
like, what is he saying about the inanimate object?
So when I looked up his podcast, if I see a guest whose name I don't recognize, I just Wikipedia it real quick to see if I want to listen to this person talk for the next, hour or so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's who she is, and I haven't finished it either. So this was just on the way.
So basically, just saying that things were better in the 80s, and for Bill Maher, it's probably like the 60s. I'm guessing.
Well, so his analogy, just his story of riding his bike, and then the kids go, like they're out in the woods looking at a Playboy. Because this is before there was like
that's very like Stand By Me sort of.
Totally Stand By Me, right? Yeah, just with Playboys. But of course, these days, there's internet porn everywhere, and it's and it is not healthy for. Kids to have that kind of access to it.
Wait till it's all VR porn and stuff. I mean, like, my God, that's going to be, people will never see humans out in the street again.
Well, and I think he was also making the point that like statistics show that like young people are not out there getting it on anymore.
That's so weird.
Yeah, it's so weird. So I don't know.
Well, I mean, I would say that, when she says like, I wish I was in the 80s, I'm like, yeah, 80s were much better. I'm sorry. I hate to tell you, but it was cooler. And I was like, my generation's weird because we kind of were the generation that had a foot in each kind of way, because we had the internet when we were our late teens, early 20s.
Yeah.
But we didn't grow up with the internet. We grew up kind of the old school way. You know what I mean? And I think that's kind of cool. We have that perspective both ways. You know what I mean?
Well, we weren't ruined by social media.
No, there was no social media until just a couple years ago. It's like social media is like 15 years old. It's not like it's even that old. You know, but if you're 15, that's your whole life. So it makes it, you know.
I mean, well, it would be like getting like all of your kids addicted to gambling. like from an early age,
no, that's
right?
perfectly fine, legitimate. That's a good way to raise your kids. Come on, kids, we're going to Harrah's.
I do remember being, I think in like maybe this might have also been like 8th grades. No, this might have been like freshman year of high school. I remember going to Las Vegas with my buddy Chris and my parents, right? We all went to Las Vegas and stayed at the MGM and stuff. And like Chris and I spent almost the whole trip playing this game called Cyber Sled, where you're basically in a 3D tank and you're on an arena and you just go around the arena and try to blow each other up, right?
Sounds totally harmless.
Yeah, and so who knows how much money was spent on Cyber Sled? How many quarters, how many dollars, hundreds of dollars
that's
maybe?
Still alive and well now. Trust me, there's this loot crate stuff where people, like when they're playing, and that's the same thing. Hey, if you buy this thing, you can get that. And it's
that's how Hunt Showdown works, dude. I buy skins. Like the reason I spend the money is because I want the developer to continue to earn a profit to maintain the game.
So you're ability to murder Post Malone in a virtual space.
Yes, because I mean, nothing else has given me the opportunity to virtually murder Post Malone the way Hunt Showdown has.
Exactly.
You know,
it's worth it for, I mean, on its face, it's worth it for just that.
It's just just the price alone. And sometimes I'll find just like a dead Post Malone just out in a field or
you
something.
Just poke him with a stick. We'll make sure he's.
I loot him. I steal all of his belongings.
Well, that was cool. You can do both.
Yeah,
you can do both. Come on.
And then sometimes I set him on fire.
Oh.
Because that's part of that's a game mechanic.
It actually does
right?
sound pretty good.
I've got a video I took. I'll show you, dude. It's great. I seriously, I slow rolled it too. After I killed Post Malone, I crouched and waited for a second before throwing the lantern full of gasoline on him,
just to make sure he was still alive, right?
Or just in case the player was spectating me.
Okay.
So maybe the player, if they're still spectating the match, they can see me set his stupid filthy Post Malone on fire. It was really great.
Hopefully, it actually is Post Malone.
Oh, that would be so cool. So anyway, so I remember saying to my buddy, like, man, how come, like, I don't get it. Like, doesn't matter how many quarters we pump into Cyber Sled, there's never going to be any quarters coming back out.
That's true.
Right? But my parents can go to that other machine that has like the bananas and cherries and stuff on it, right? And they can put a quarter in there and some quarters might come back out. Like, how fucked is that?
As we know, like, there's never been anyone who lost money at gambling. So never. It works perfectly in all situations. It's like the invisible hand of Adam Smith, you know.
Smith.
It works perfectly.
What's that? Great economy, the invisible hand.
Invisible hand. The market. Yeah, exactly. Right. It just works perfectly. Like it's like God himself, you know what I mean? It's like,
capitalism works perfectly for everybody.
Yes, exactly. It's the perfect system. But no, the thing about the perfect system, like bands, that's like, you know, looking at what's going on with King Diamond and Andy LaRocque, these are people who've been like essentially business partners for what, 30 years now?
Yeah, like they're like the Paul and Gene of high quality horror metal.
So the idea of like sort of them having issues and not being able to work out, I mean, it's tough because I'm sure that there's probably so much more to it, as is with every band. You know, look at like Sebastian Bach and Skid Row. That's another example of a thing that's so obvious that those guys got back together. How much their guarantees would go through the roof.
Yeah, but didn't Sebastian Bach just get in a fight with somebody on the Monsters of Rock cruise?
I guess so. I didn't look into that because I don't care. But
well, yeah, I mean, like I saw the thumbnails and stuff, and I mean, and you know what? It seems so on brand. I didn't even bother.
That actually answers the some question like, geez, why aren't Snake and Scotty Hill getting back with? Oh, that's why.
yeah, right. I think
exactly.
Yep, I think that was the overall reaction from the metal communities.
Yeah.
So like I didn't even bother clicking on the video. I was like, yeah, of course Sebastian Bach got in a fight with somebody. Like it wouldn't be the Monsters of Rock cruise without Sebastian Bach getting in a fight with.
Thanks for listening to the Rock Guitar Confidential podcast with Brian and Scott. Please make sure to rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast. Now back to the show. It's amazing when you have someone who's that talented, who's that good a performer, and you know, and vocalist and frontman who just can't see the bigger picture. You know what I mean?
He's got some good solo albums too.
Yeah, I mean, he's a very talented guy, and now those Skid Row albums are freaking great, man.
They top the genre,
and they still hold up. You know, you listen to, like, especially, you know, really the first three. There's a few they've done since, and even the stuff they've done with different singers has been good. It's not been terrible. You know what I mean? Those guys are great songwriters.
Dude, the first two albums are legendary.
Yeah, so I think Slay the Grind took it up a whole nother notch.
Absolutely,
too. I mean, that was, I love the first album too. I think I just heard those songs so much back in the day, especially like I Remember You and 18 in Life. Those were just on the radio nonstop when we were kids. You know what I mean? That I kind of burned out on them a little bit.
And everybody like,
Youth Gone Wild too. I mean,
the second, there's first of all, most bands go through a sophomore slump. Skid Row didn't.
No, they went up a notch.
Right, and other bands got, like, I don't know, like wimpier on the second album, but they got heavier.
Yeah, they did. I mean, if you look at like Slave to the Grind, and if you listen, even the ballads on the album are great. Quicksand Jesus and stuff like that. I mean,
In a Darkened Room is great.
So good.
It is so good. I mean, those are perfect albums.
Yeah. But I mean, if you make those, you can just slap it on the table and say, "Hey, I made these albums." It's like Guns N' Roses like that too. Like Guns
slap
N' Roses,
what on the table?
If someone's like, "Go freaking Skid Row sucks," it's like, "Here's Slave to the Grind" and self-titled.
Yeah.
What are you gonna say now, motherfucker? It's like,
up.
You know what I mean? I made these. Back when you weren't even a glimmer in your daddy's eye. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's I know but the music was so much cooler. But I mean, even a band with massive success like that, Bon Jovi, my God, like Bon Jovi can't get their shit together.
That's weird too. I don't know.
The John Bon Jovi solo band with like 2 conscripted former members. You know what I mean?
Well, and John's voice is kind of failing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So,
but I mean, and he's kind of not. He's long ago gave up. I'm the rock front man. That's not really. He's more trying to go the Springsteen route now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but that's how Bon Jovi survived the '90s, right? They had to change their, and that's fine. They had to adapt, right? And they succeeded. So I mean, they also had enough of a fan base, the kind of fan base where they could do that.
Yeah, but the fan base really just doesn't give a shit about the stuff that they were making in the 2000s. They want to hear the Slippery When Wet, New Jersey.
They have a large. Like all the girls that had crushes on John, then became like suburban housewives who still had a crush on John.
That's what I mean,
Bon Jovi,
but they still want to hear like those songs, Wanted Dead or Alive or whatever. And
Dude, I've been having a blast teaching that song to a bunch of people.
No, I do too. But it's a great song. I genuinely love the 3 albums from Bon Jovi. I genuinely love are 7800 Fahrenheit, Slippery When Wet, and New Jersey. Those are all great albums.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think they're fantastic, and that's what people want to hear. It's the same with Guns N' Roses. Like when people go to Guns N' Roses play, they want to hear all of Appetite and a smattering of Use Your Illusion 1 and 2. That's all they care about. There's nothing they've ever done beyond that anyone gives shit about. You know what I mean?
But those Bon Jovi albums, like especially Slippery When Wet and New Jersey, I mean, those albums were designed to fill arenas. Yep. So the songs are big, and I love that.
Lay Your Hands on Me. That's a whole arena song. I mean,
hey, less isn't more. No, more is more.
It's totally true. And then, but the solos were killer. The tones were killer. I mean, it was good. It was good music.
It's funny. So Sambora's phrasing on the Wanted Dead or Alive solo is not my favorite. A
lot of pinch harmonics, like way too many.
It's all and so that's what saves it.
Yeah.
And this is part of the lesson is that he's just sticking to D minor pentatonic in like 3 different positions for the most part. Right.
Classic licks.
Yeah, totally. Like cliches even. In fact, the song
were
itself.
Were they cliches back in like 85 or whatever that came out? I mean, was that a cliche then, you think? I mean,
well, I
had
think
it gotten cliched at that point?
I think the whole, yes, definitely. Yeah. I mean, they're like, all the riffs are blue, all the actual, when he's not just like pinching the shit out of every, like he wrenches every ounce
of in that solo.
Even more than that, right? Like Zach chooses to pinch a note, and and if you watch the first of all, it's really fun to do a YouTube search for Wanted Dead or Alive live. But if you watch the live performance, I think it was from the Moscow Music Peace Festival.
I've seen that a million times.
Dude, it's even screechier. It's crazy. So
his tone wasn't great on that the whole thing. It was
So on one hand, I'm just wondering, is he just pinching the shit out of this pentatonic scale because he doesn't have any other notes? He's not aware of any other notes he could play.
No, he does. He's just, that was the vibe at that time. He listen to some of the solos for some of the other songs. He's shredding, dude. He totally shred. He's a great guitar player, man.
Yeah,
I think
great singer.
I think the Bad Medicine solo is killer. It's really cool and interesting.
I'll have to revisit that.
He does this thing where he does the pinch harmonic and uses the whammy bar at the same time.
That's right.
It's actually really cool. And he does a shredding outro lick to that. It's that's what I hear, man. But remember, you guys are a rock band. You rock. You know what I mean? You're gonna be the headliner at the Moscow Music Peace Festival with Ozzy and freaking Scorpions and Motley Crue and Skid Row.
Imagine if King Diamond had been there. That would have been fucking great.
It was pretty good. I remember watching that. That was on TV. I remember when I was a kid. I remember that being on. I taped on VHS when I was a kid. You know what I mean?
And I remember the whole thing about it was supposed to be wrapped in a just say no to drugs kind of thing.
Is that what it was? Okay,
yeah,
I thought it was more about the making Russia free kind of. I thought that was part of it too.
Well, I mean, after the fall of the Soviet Union, right?
Trying to get them caught up or something. It was like a music peace festival, trying to make peace with the Russians.
Right, but there was also there was something about they were trying to market it also as like a we're all drug free kind of thing, but like the stories on the plane getting over there, they definitely were not.
Well, we got Motley Crue and Scorpions,
and Ozzy
Osbourne, and Skid Row.
God, can you imagine?
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure.
Dude, if the plane had crashed, like it would have been like the second Chernobyl. Like so much toxic material would have been released into the environment.
But it was a good, honestly, I think the only people who had good guitar tones on that whole thing. I remember watching that and thinking, even when I was a kid, thinking the guitar tones sucked. Were Mick Mars and Zach. There's only two that had like decent tones. That kind of cut through. You know what I mean? And everyone else's sound like it was just like a cardboard Marshall kind of thing. It was crazy.
The Ozzy performance is legendary.
Yeah. Well, I just think like maybe, but keeping the band together thing like that with those bands, Skid Row, Motley Crue. Think about all those bands, like they've had all this drama over the years. I think looking at a band like Rush or bands that kind of keep all the members together.
Rush's strategy was there'll only be 3 members.
Yeah. So
that's one way to do it.
Well,
right?
They're back now with a new drummer, so I guess I shouldn't say. But if Neil was still alive, they would still doing that.
That's right, exactly. Well, plus, and I know she knows that it's Geddy and Alex's band.
Yeah.
So every band has a boss.
Yeah. It's true.
Or a pair of bosses.
I wonder who is in Bon Jovi. Who do you think who's the boss?
I don't know. I think I thought it was John Allen Such.
Tico Torres, right?
Tico Torres,
he's the main guy. I think. Yeah.
Who was that keyboard
guy?
Lars
Ulrich of Bon Jovi.
Oh my God.
No. It's funny how that works, and I don't know. That's something I think when people are fans of bands and artists, I think you have to recognize that they're human beings too, and it's very difficult. And even no matter what level of a band you're at, to keep a band together is not an easy thing to do.
Right.
I think that the passion level is challenging too. Everyone's not the same level of passion. Like some people, I'll do anything it takes to make this happen. Some are like, well, I'll do up to this point, and that's fine. And this is cool, but I kind of like this other thing I do too. I have this other side business. I'm just gonna go do that.
Yep.
Keeping people on the same page is not the easiest thing to do.
Sure. I mean, like whenever I've quit a band. When I left Girth, and dude, I still love Scoob, man. Everybody should go check out Possessed. Claudius Creamer, he's a great guitar player. I learned so much from that guy. And I've told the story before, but he had booked us to play at Sac Metal Fest #1, it was called. And we were doing these gigs where there'd be like 6 or 7 bands on the bill, and then we'd have like a half hour, maybe 35 minutes.
That's not, probably like 5 songs, maybe.
So we'd get up, play like 5 songs, that would be it, right? Well, I had us booked, like Tommy Armstrong was going to have us open for Hurt.
Yeah.
When Hurt was showcasing for record labels, right?
Yeah.
And, but it was Scoob's band. Scoob was the boss of the band, right? And so he overruled that. And
why? So what was the thought process on that?
I can't speak for Scoob. I don't remember.
It seems like that's, if you're showcasing for labels, that's not a bad thing.
And you know what? Scoob went out there and made it happen, man. With his talent, and I think overall, like Scoob wanted to just play like way heavier stuff than what I wanted to do.
Oh, okay.
Right. Like I didn't want to just go.
Do you want to go like death metal kind of?
Yeah. Like I didn't want to go full on death metal.
Yeah, you want to have a foot in power metal or traditional metal kind of thing.
Yeah, I knew it would work out better for me if I didn't only play in front of crowds of sweaty dudes.
Yeah. I had that same thought. That's why I joined The Morning After back in those days. I went full on the other way.
Yeah.
I went from muso dudes, like, instrumental progressive music to Dave Matthews Band that meets John Mayer kind of thing. And that was like completely the 180. Well, very much the same reasoning though. I can either play for like, the room full of sweaty dudes who are staring at my fingers, which is great. I have no problem with that.
That's fine. Stare at my fingers all you want.
Or like a room full of chicks, who are like kind of vaguely paying attention to the music.
Yeah, totally, man. Well, I mean that works for the young single guy.
Yes.
Because
when I was in my mid-20s, that was the early mid-20s. That was a good decision.
Because you don't have to come up with an icebreaker.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, and you're doing something you love, right? Yeah. So like if you're having fun, other people will have fun with you.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it totally. it makes sense, right? From a sociological perspective.
But at that point,
I'll just see what Dr. Deborah So has to say about it.
Doing the Scott Allen Project stuff was much more. It was almost like I was playing in a jazz fusion band kind of thing. But it was like that kind of. It was like progressive metal. Like it was all about the music. You had to be like way into the guitar to be into that. If you weren't into the guitar, you weren't. It was just going to go over your head. I think that that was something that took me a while to come in. Now I've come full circle back to the point where I think that's awesome. But back then I was just kind of, I was so single focused to that whole time period. It was, it was crazy. So that was, that was moving down to The Morning After was like a thing I had to do, and then come back, to the metal thing again. It's because I had to rock, dude. You had to, some point you have to rock.
It's what you did the morning after.
Exactly, as I rocked, and then I found Ex Aegis years later, and that's that's a chance to play like the big kind of vocal kind of power metal thing I've always wanted to do back in the day. Like if I had the choice back in like 97 or whatever it was, I would have formed like a band kind of like Ex Aegis.
Oh, same here. Dude, like Ex Aegis is the music I have always wanted to make. And furthermore, like we're the bosses of Ex Aegis.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's just so nice.
It's nice for everyone.
Yeah, it is great for everyone. Yeah, so
Anyway,
it just helps.
People need to recognize that when they see a band that's been around for years and years, or they see a band that's losing members here and there or something like that. It's just understandable. It's what's going to happen. It's just human beings, all trying to, it's tough. It's like a team. How many football teams stay the same from year to year? It's not going to be. It's the same sort of thing.
Yeah,
and that's that level of passion is something that I think is interesting. Is I see that in my students too, like where you're trying to teach somebody something, and if they don't have that passion for what you're trying to. I mean, if they're not super into music, you have to do so many things to try and find a way to reach that person if music's not their main thing.
And then at a certain point you just realize like this isn't going to work. We were talking earlier, and there's the you don't have to like this speech, and I've talked about that on the podcast before, but like I just recently gave that speech, and that
which you can do from total memory, I'm sure, as you've done it so many times, and so have I. It's
I just think it's important to, man, like my students are never going to get in trouble with me. Right, and I'm never going to get mad at
Nirvana. They say, "Hey, can you please teach me all apologies from Nirvana?" That's my favorite.
Okay,
song
so no, that happened.
I know, but that's
last Sunday
gets you in trouble.
It wasn't all apologies. Well, no, I mean this particular.
It could be any of those shitty Nirvana songs. So
I mean, this particular kid's on the spectrum, so I'll do anything for the kid.
Sure.
What was the stupid Nirvana?
Yeah, you don't want to duck their yum, especially if that's something that's making them excited about playing guitar.
It was Heart-Shaped Box.
Yeah.
And man, Scott, I tried to deflect.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes you can't. They're just like dog with a ball, and you can't get it loose. You know what
I just fuck.
I know exactly. It's
but you know what? I picked up my drop D guitar and we did it.
I'm amazed that people don't realize how terrible Nirvana is.
That's all right. We got to be careful. We went on I'll have to rein us back in here.
No, we
could go off.
I'm stunned. Like some people, they can't get their head around that. That's a terrible, terrible band.
I know. So anyway, but which is man, it's too bad that they stuck together for even like 1 second, right?
Implode the moment they started the band.
Yes,
better,
man.
We've actually been much better if we went straight to Foo Fighters.
Yes, just skip straight to Foo. It sounds like a square on Monopoly.
Exactly.
Like skip straight to Foo Fighters.
Straight to Foo Fighters. Let's ignore the whole Nirvana thing. But no, it's funny when you have a student, and this is one of the things. What's part of our job? This is the hard part of our job. So, I mean, there's a couple things. One is like when there's no support from the parents who don't like put any kind of structure on the kid to keep them in practicing at home. They don't realize that we can't be there with them to make them practice at home. That's challenging. But if a student has no interest in playing guitar, that's really challenging because you're just doing the best you can, and you have so much passion for it. You're trying to share that passion with somebody else.
Yeah, you just got to find. I mean, that person's going to be passionate about something else, and you just have to encourage them to find what that is.
Yeah. In the meantime, do the best you can while they're there in front of you. And at least my thought is, okay, even if I know this is not going to end with them being a great guitar player, I want them to have a good experience.
Yep.
That wasn't like, man, that was so terrible. I was awful.
They can be like, hey, I spent time with a real live musician.
Yeah, and they were cool with me, and they listened to me, and they tried to help me learn stuff. I hope that's what they think. I mean, I don't think that's going to happen until years later they look back.
So I should, spend my monies in ways that help them earn a living.
And you know what? Another thing, like a tangent that's, I think, almost as challenging as this right here is, especially this is something that's only come up in the last, say, 10 or 12 years, which I know is not as a long time, but I've been teaching since 97. So, so it's the student who won't work on what you're asking them to work on, and they work on hey, how'd it go this week? They go, oh, I learned this song from this, and like going, oh, wait, is that what I asked you to do?
Yeah, that's my favorite. It's like that's my favorite.
And it's like, yeah, so you basically are saying you've got no progress in what we're working on.
Here's a fun one. Yeah. I want to learn this song. Okay, let's try to learn this song. Okay, so there's some skills that you need to be able to play this song. Yeah. So we could learn this other thing, that's going to help you build those skills as a stepping stone to learning that thing. No, I just want to learn, but I have a question about the other, and then they steer it back to they're just going to play that song.
Yeah. But sometimes you start getting into that song and it's hard and they go, oh, I don't want to learn this. And it's like, and you're going okay, so we're definitely learning. I mean, I try and listen to my students and validate when they're saying things and stuff like that. And I'll say that this is why I suggest we do, and this is why.
Yes,
this is why
we should always explain why.
Yeah,
right?
and
agreed.
Because I want you to be able to do the things you want to do, but you don't have the chops to do that yet. So we need to work on this first and do I had a student the other day who was like, well, when can we start working on songs? I'm like, okay, well you don't really know your chords and you can't transition from chord to chord yet, and you don't really know your rhythms, so you really can't do anything until you get that down. You know what I mean? It's like you need to learn that first.
That's a tough one.
Yeah, and then but they're like, well, I want to learn a song, like, because they're so used to, I just go to a video and I just learn how to play that song, but they don't ever learn how to play that song because they don't have the chops to play whatever they're trying to learn usually, or they don't have the patience to sit and work it through.
Yeah, and it's all how a person views that challenge, right?
Yeah.
Like if they can realize, oh, I don't have the chops to play this song.
Yeah.
Like, okay, great, I'm gonna go get those chops.
Yeah. Like I'm not gonna give up on this till I can do it. Kind of.
That's
thing,
right.
You know what I mean?
But that's different than I'm just gonna grind through the song.
Yeah, which I find that they don't do that usually either. Or if it's like some Marty music kind of thing where it's like not really even the riff, and it's like, but it's that easy and quick and that kind of thing that you're looking for. Rather than what you and I are selling is like, okay, we're gonna really build some core skills, and then you'll be able to do a lot of things. And one of the things you'll do is this song, but you'll be able to do a lot of other things too.
Right, you're gonna be like really good.
Yeah, exactly. As opposed to just you've memorized this riff and stuff. I always use the analogy, and I probably have said this on the podcast before, so bear with me, people, if I'm going to go down a path we've already seen. But it's like memorizing the paragraph in French versus speaking French. You know what I mean? That's like you can learn to play this riff, but that doesn't really mean you know anything about playing guitar. You know what I mean? But if you understand that within the context of these other things that we are learning,
like you can read the Necronomicon out loud without understanding what the words mean.
And that's the better if you do that, actually.
Or you can read the Necronomicon out loud, understanding what the words mean, and in both circumstances, you're going to summon the Deadites from hell
exactly.
to rip your face off.
Things will not go well for you either way.
Things will not go well no matter what, right? Like you will not be safe in that cabin.
Exactly.
Right?
Well, no matter how much
that's what you're trying to say.
Be safe in that cabin. Like
yes.
This feels like I should be safe in here, but no,
that's right.
It's not happening. I mean, what cabin?
That's what you meant.
What alone cabin in the woods has ever been not safe? Come on.
Oh, and before I forget,
the crime rate at that cabin is like 0. You know what I mean? That's
right.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, that's right.
So you're less likely to get robbed there.
Because when the authorities show up, I mean, the bodies are all vaporized. Like exactly. Anyway, right?
Yeah, there's nothing happening. Yeah.
No, absolutely not. Well, I mean, plus wildlife will come and like pick your corpse apart.
That's true. Yeah, it's right. I look forward to. But
speaking of which,
speaking of corpses being ripped apart by wildlife, what?
Feel good.
Where are we going here?
Feel good movie of the year, Lee Cronin's The Mummy.
Oh, okay. Have you seen it? Have you seen it?
You know what? It's the best movie with children in it I've ever seen.
Did you watch it? You watched it?
I did. I took myself to the theater the other day.
Tell me what was your thought? It was like, was it totally hit all the spots you wanted?
It was really good. Okay, so first of all, it's a clever take on a horror movie that features a mummy, right? So this isn't like Boris Karloff.
Yeah. Not the guy with the wrappings and stuff. He's just walking around.
Oh, there's wrappings.
Okay. Are they rapping like the freestyling? Is that what it is?
No, they cause severe bodily harm when removed from a child's leg.
Okay.
And there was a lot of bodily harm. It was really good, man. Like you've got to take the kids to go see it. It's so worth it. I mean, dude, you could also use it like parents out there. If you go see Lee Cronin's The Mummy with the kids, you could also use it as like a cautionary or a disciplinary like tale. Just be like, hey, listen, if you fuck around, like this is gonna happen to you.
Okay,
right. I don't want to spoil the plot, but there's definitely some Exorcist vibes. They did it's like The Mummy, like by way of The Exorcist.
Huh.
It's uncompromising. Like so
it's not like the Tom Cruise Mummy where he's
it's not shite.
Yeah, it's not the Brendan Fraser Mummy where it's like a fun adventure.
No, it's not garbage like that. No.
Oh, I will not stand for that, sir. Mummy and Mummy Returns are both killer. Oh, I love those.
Dude,
movies.
Lee Cronin's Mummy just like it. Yeah, it just farts in the general direction.
It's the feel good movie that I will never see. I appreciate that.
There's no crappy CGI,
dude.
It's yeah, just the
I bet there's CGI in that.
The girl who's the like the makeup is like just creepy enough. Like you can tell like her body has been like damaged by like the process. I don't know. It's perfectly unsettling. Like the house where most of the movie takes place is great. It hits on the, it does a pretty good job. I mean, it's not a perfect movie by any means, but it does a perfect job of capturing that Lovecraftian cosmic, something, that cosmic horror of something ancient and like not understandable is going to come and get you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Oh, like it's like Cthulhu or something like that, like that kind of.
Even more demonic. It was kind of like the little dude in the show and tell video, Haunted by the Night, right? Little demon.
So they wouldn't think to grab a Jackson V and like shred in its face? That would stop.
That's the only way the movie could have been better.
That's the way that they would have stopped the Mummy. Like, oh yeah,
Right. Well, and see, it's like a subtext that like there are no Jackson V's in the family or in the house, and so there's
V, man. That's what it's the king laying the fucking.
Was it a king?
Down.
I thought it was a Rhodes.
No, that was a king.
Was it a king?
Yeah, because because the Rhodes has the longer upper horn, the V has the longer lower horn. You know what I mean?
Well, the king V is symmetrical, whereas
doesn't the king
Rhodes,
V, the ones that Mustaine's played, wasn't it slightly longer on the bottom horn on that one?
Nope. That's how the Carvin Ultra V is.
Okay.
Or the Kiesel Ultra V.
He was doing that one, but I know that the Rhodes has got the upper horn longer.
Yeah, it's the offset.
Yeah. So, which is cool, man. It's all good, man.
So so Lee Cronin's The Mummy, man. Take the kids to go see it and make it a family day. It's so worth it. Like, well, especially I think it's still in theaters.
Okay, one last little pet peeve I want to mention before we run out of time today. Okay, one thing is I love one of my all-time favorite bands, Giant. They just recently did a reunion show with
Dan Huff.
With Dan Huff on guitar, who's a freaking monster guitar player, and it was actually basically mostly the original band. He wasn't singing; he was saying that he couldn't handle like the vocals anymore. So it's like way too high for it because he's like mid-60s now or something.
Sure,
but he still handled the guitar shredding. I'll tell you that. Nice. But one thing I've noticed drives me nuts about this. I saw him; he's playing a Fender Strat, or he's playing this Strat and a James Tyler Strat with like a 2-post regular trim with locking tuners. And
the James Tyler guitars were cool, but I always thought the headstocks were kind of clunky.
Well, they're cool, but and then I saw the other guitar players playing the Strat. I'm like, okay, now I remember watching these guys back in like '91, and he was playing a freaking Tyler with a Floyd and a graphic, and their guys playing the Ibanez. Like, why did they downgrade to freaking Strats? I don't get that, dude. It's like rock. Don't be old, rock, dude. What the hell? I don't know. It's like I'm gonna play this beat up Fender Strat now. It's like because it's more real. Like, no, play a fucking Ibanez with graphic and 24 frets. It's so much better in every way.
Agree. You know what I mean? It's funny you mentioned that because this past week I defended the Floyd on Facebook.
You should. Everyone. So we defended it on this very podcast on more than one occasion.
Yeah. So a friend posted a meme where it's there's God and Satan like up in the clouds, and God says to Satan, I'll let you create one thing. And then Satan, rubs his hands together and goes, wah. And then the next clip, there's a Floyd Rose.
That's what God would have made. I mean,
well, no, it's Satan. Satan rocks, man. Dude, look at my hood.
I know.
Not today, Jesus. Anyway, so, but in the picture I pointed out, like, if you're specifically, it was a Floyd Rose special.
Oh, okay. It wasn't a regular Floyd.
It was, so I pointed out, clearly, like, if the meme is, meme makes sense if you're specifically calling out the Floyd Rose special, not the original Floyd.
Yeah. Which works like it's supposed to work.
Because if it says special on it, it's not special. Just like if it says custom on it, it's not custom.
It's funny. I just had this conversation with one of my students today, too, because he's like, he had a Strat. I look closer. I'm like, oh my God, there's a Floyd on that thing. It was like a Floyd, but it's a Super Strat. It was basically a Fender Super Strat. He's like, well, it has all these tuning issues like every Floyd Rose guitar. I'm like,
no, not like every Floyd Rose guitar.
That's exactly the opposite of what Floyd Roses are for. Like, I don't have to tune my guitar hardly ever.
Right. It's like, once it's like locked down and your strings are settled enough after being installed, right?
Yeah.
It's
you have to stretch them and stuff, but once it'll be freaking perfectly in tune for as long as you want, as long as nothing weird, like you don't drop it off the back of a truck or something.
Right, and as long as you're not going through like a seasonal change.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like this year, the weather's been wonky, right?
Yeah,
like I was expecting it to be blazing ass hot by now, but
wait till tomorrow.
Is that what tomorrow's going to be?
Tomorrow's going to be like mid-80s, and then it's going to go like by upper mid-90s by this weekend.
Oh, fuck. That's the only time when like mid-80s isn't desirable.
I will tell you this.
When we're talking about the temperature.
Yeah, exactly. I'll tell you this, though. Like, Floyd Roses they work perfectly as long as you know how to deal with them. As long as you know what you're supposed to do on those, they'll work exactly as designed.
Well, or if you have a cheap one that's made out of zinc alloy, right? So what your Floyd is made out of and how it's made, it makes a difference, right? So
I've had Floyd 1000s that stayed in tune perfectly well too. Though,
the 1000s, the problem with the 1000 isn't the materials out of which it's made; it's the way it's made.
Yeah, but right? I mean, I've had less expensive Floyds that still work beautifully too.
Well, but not Floyd Rose specials, I'm sure. No. Yeah, so that one. So the thing is that's made out of zinc alloy.
As long as it's a decent, it doesn't have to be super expensive Floyd. But I've had ones. I mean, I don't know. The cheap ones, that sucks because all the people who had their first experience with the Floyd Rose had the cheap experience with the Floyd Rose.
Right. I mean? And where the metal is softer, and so things like the edges, the knife edge on the bridge that makes contact with the post, it'll wear out. The post will wear out, and then it'll slip around. Yeah. And, you'll saddles will crack, right? Yeah. But that's just because it's made out of like cheap stuff. If you get like an Ibanez Edge, right, or an original Floyd, or even a Floyd Rose 1000, like those should all be okay. My beef with the 1000 is that sometimes the fine tuners get kind of like cross-threaded and like don't work the way they should. That will never happen on an original Floyd or on a Schaller.
The ones I've had, I mean, all of the Floyds I've ever, because almost every guitar I've ever owned has had a Floyd. They've always worked perfectly for me, and I've always kind of thought like, okay, why are these people struggling? And it's always something like they didn't stretch their strings out, when they put them on. They don't understand for whatever reason. People are mystified by the floating bridge. They don't understand how
they understand tension.
The counter tension, exactly. They just don't, and that's something I just will never understand. But that's not the Floyd's fault.
If I tune this string sharp, this other one's going to go flat.
Yeah, because the string tension is being counterbalanced by the string tension. You know, it's like
physics.
Yeah, but that's weird.
Physics
to me
is hard.
But the problem is that like I think the manufacturers just do a terrible job of explaining this to people. It's like there's no way, and the people selling them don't even. God, half the times people buy a guitar with the Floyd Rose, they don't even get the whammy bar. I'm like, where's the whammy bar? Oh, they never gave it to me. I'm like, what the hell, man?
Yeah, you know, I've got to say, Skips is doing a really good job of making sure the bar shows up with the guitar.
Yes, but Skips knows what they're doing. Like the other places, that, like, you know, Guitar Center, they don't know what they're doing. You know, it's like, well, also like, well, we're just the, you know, how do you put it in drop D when you have like, you know, they don't understand. You know, yeah, exactly. It's meant to stay in one tuning, dumbass. You know, that's what you do because we actually know how to play. Yeah, that's the difference. So
anyhow, so yes.
Anyway, the Floyd Rose, man, needs to be supported. Thank you for supporting it, and everyone needs to stand up and
totally defend it.
But seeing something like when I see like Dan Huff, who was a total Floyd guy back in the day, like, oh, you know, I'm just more real now. I'm like more of my Nashville roots.
Maybe
now.
It's not like, really Dan Huff. Maybe he was abducted and like mummified in a coffin and possessed by an ancient Sumerian.
I'm
demon.
on board with that as long as he can still shred on the guitar, and he could. But I don't know.
Totally, of course. Like, if all that happened, he'd be playing metal.
You know what's funny? I get a little bit of vibes of that from Alex Skolnick too. Like when he will bust out the Ibanez once in a while, but then the rest of the time he's playing like a Les Paul or something.
Man,
like,
I want an Ibanez 540 Pi. That would be so cool.
So hard to get, man. So
I know. I don't know why they don't just reissue it. That would have been a cool. That'd be a cool limited edition thing.
The Red Beach Voyager, I would like to get my hands on one of those too.
Yes, God, if they would reissue that.
Impossible to get your hands. There's
so you could buy a Sir, which would be kind of the same setup, right?
I would want like the old school, like 1988 kind of, you know, Voyager. Yeah. That just there's probably only a few hundred in the wild out there, and I'm sure they're astronomical.
They are, dude. I think I saw one for like $10,000 the other day.
Because they're not making more. You know what I mean? And and that's same with the Pi, the
540 Pi. It's been forever. Yeah,
there's probably like a few hundred out in the world.
Maybe I think they only produced it for like 1 or 2 years.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So maybe 100 out in the wild. So you can only imagine how much those would cost.
Oh man, and Red Beach had 2 different signature models, right?
So we had Ibanez,
so we had the one that was kind of like a little Explorer,
but more rounded.
More rounded, right? And then then there were the more affordable production versions of the I think it was called the RBM, the Voyager. Right?
Yeah, it's the Voyager. Yeah. But I mean, was that what they called it? RBM.
I think that's what the model.
I remember a buddy of mine in music school had one of those, and I remember like bugging him, like, "Let me check out your guitar and stuff," because I was like, dude, I've been, that was like getting to be late 90s then too, and I had so much just like romanticism and nostalgia for like the late 80s, early 90s at that point. It was like right there. It was like a couple years apart.
Yeah, well, and back then you just didn't have the same kind of access to so many guitars, right? Yeah. Like if you saw an ad in a magazine, that's all you got. But like you'd probably never see that guitar in person.
I always think about this because I remember there's a couple of stores on Hollywood, on Sunset and Hollywood Boulevard down there. One was called Freedom Guitars when I lived in Hollywood, and I walked in there and it was like middle of '96, and I remember looking, and they had rows and rows of like Kramers. They had like Night Swans and Berettas and Ibanez and stuff. Because like back then, no one wanted the guitars with the Floyds and stuff like that. And
they have a Richie Sambora Jersey Star?
They had so many guitars, but I was so freaking broke ass student at that point. I couldn't afford anything. But but they were looking for like $200 a piece or something. It was like for like a Japanese made guitar. I was like because they couldn't give them away. No one wanted like a Super Strat with a Floyd in 1996.
Yeah, I definitely wish I had cashed in back then and just bought up every Super Strat. I wish I had the money to do it, but
we were broke then. You know what I mean? Right. So, but like, can you imagine like walking out with like 10 guitars for like $1,000?
Right? Yeah, no doubt.
Which would be not worth probably like a freaking 40 or 50 grand now.
Dude, we could sell those guitars for $10,000 and go get ourselves a Red Beach.
Exactly. Yeah, because I'm saying it's. I remember thinking that like this is so cool, and yet I don't have any money, so it sucks. I can't capitalize on this.
They say it's kind of akin to youth is wasted on the young.
Yeah, exactly. Right? But I mean, it was 7-8 years earlier, those would have been selling for a ton of money. It's like they're not just like just laying over the place. Like, oh, you want it here? It's
timing's a bitch sometimes.
As people were looking for their Jag stains and their Les Paul specials and stuff like that.
Yeah,
back then.
Well, luckily these days, and speaking of timing, we've got Lex Legion. So thank goodness, man. So if you wait long enough, good shit happens.
Yeah, I think the album comes out in June, right? The full album.
Dude, I'm enjoying the video. It looks like the dude, the two main characters are walking through. It's like they're at King Diamond's house,
wasteland, and then he finds this like weird house in the middle of nowhere.
This weird black house.
Yeah.
By KB Homes.
This is what would the development be? This is Wastelandia.
Yeah, right.
KB Homes. You know what I mean?
This is post-apocalyptica. Yeah,
exactly.
Right. And here's the haunted man mansion.
KB Home is built on relationships between you and the undead.
How much for the additional cobwebs?
Exactly.
Yes.
Is this one pre-haunted, or you have to pay extra for the extra?
Right. Yeah. Totally.
Well, this haunted comes with the house, but if you want the extra haunting, you have to pay this little bit extra money.
And haunted by what?
Exactly. This is kind of a union demon who only works 3 days a week, and he's off. He has a break, has a hard break at noon every day. You know what I mean? And
that's right.
But if you want the 24-hour demon that haunts you in the night, you have to pay extra for that.
No, you're still going to have to pay overtime to the 24-hour demon. Yes.
He's sitting with his law check. I was going to terrorize you, but I'm on a break. So nah, I love it.
Oh man, and you got to be careful. You have to make sure that it's a right to haunt state. You know? And you've also got to make sure that like demon trafficking is like a big problem.
In the writer says there can be no peanuts in the house because he's got an allergy. So you have to be careful with that sort of thing. You
want to make sure that your demon speaks English,
exactly,
and ancient Sumerian,
exactly. Yes. And sometimes both at the same time, so it's even creepier. You know what I mean?
Well, and it costs extra to get the demon that can speak in reverse.
Yeah, that's
but that's what you want out of your demon.
Specialized skill. They had to go to 4 years of postgrad for that.
Yes. Oh, you know what? Speaking of demons speaking in reverse.
Okay.
I also carved out some time to watch a movie called Undertone.
I've never heard of this.
Oh, dude, you've got to. Okay, you seriously do have to watch this, and it's because it's about a woman who's being haunted through her podcast.
Oh, what?
Yeah. So she has this. So the main character, her and her podcast partner, they do it remote.
Joe Rogan. Yeah.
You're haunted by Joe Rogan. You're haunted by bad ideas. It's Joe Rogan. So
this America, we're all haunted by bad ideas.
So they do this supernatural podcast, right?
It's like unexplained mysteries.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, and someone sends in some MP3 files of what they think is like a possession, right? Okay. And then then the other part of the plot is that her mother is upstairs dying, right? In hospice, basically, right?
Okay.
And fun ensues. So the hook on Undertone
sounds like a fun Saturday evening, to me.
So audio features into the film big time, right? So
make sure WAV files on Pro Tools files.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's so crazy.
Yep, that's right. And they don't know where the files came from, and then they go back and they listen to it and they pick it apart. And so the audio in the film is really good. So gather the family, gather around on the couch. Family fun night, and then turn the sound way up and turn the lights off and enjoy watching Undertone, folks. So there you go. So there's your movie viewing list. Undertone, Lee Cronin's The Mummy, and Gypsy Tears, the new
from Lex Legion.
Exactly, yes. Yeah. And then you're also going to want to visit our website.
Yes, that's to me, www.xaegisband.com. I'm not going to spell it. I don't have the guts, man.
I thought we would to change things up. Okay,
I can't. Was it EXAEGISBAND.com, right?
That's www.EXAEGISBAND.com.
There you'll find links to our social media, and you'll also find samples from our debut album, which you can check out and hopefully share around the world and all that stuff. All the videos for the songs we've done as well. That'd be really cool. So make sure to follow us on social media. Please make sure to tell two friends, and they'll tell two friends about our podcast, so we can keep growing the podcast, and it keeps on getting stronger and stronger. And eventually, we can probably get Lex Legion on the podcast.
It'd be great. Yep. So keep sharing, folks, and then when we get to monetize, then the quality is going to go way up.
Exactly. Well, it couldn't get better than we're doing, but it'll look nicer and sound.
Yes, it'll just be shinier.
Exactly right.
Maybe cameras. Maybe live guitars.
Exactly. That's what we should do. Absolutely.
Yep.
That's actually a great idea. So, all right, guys. Thank you so much for listening. We'll catch you next lesson. That's lesson.
The next Lex lesson.
Next podcast. Everyone, be good. See you then.
Peace.